pets. They bring us joy, companionship, happiness, and of course, gain our love and affection in return. But do our pets really love us back? It's a question that's been asked many times before, but unfortunately, it's not an easy question to answer. Obviously, with us humans, there's two different ways to tell how others are thinking. We can observe actions and behaviors to make an educated guess, or we can just ask them how they're feeling directly ourselves. But how do we tell how animals, or more specifically, our pets think and what they think of us? Well, it's definitely a much more difficult question to answer because we can't just ask them straight up like humans. We have to make that educated guess based on their behaviors and mannerisms to infer what they're thinking. Now, there's been a ton of studies conducted on this very topic by ethologists, otherwise known as scientists that study the behavior of animals. But before we go over all that, first off, how does all of this connect to Life of Pi? Well, as we know, Pi is stranded in the middle of the ocean on a lifeboat with 4 different animals. He uses his knowledge of zoology and animal psychology to survive amongst these animals when it seems like all hope is lost. He is constantly talking about and explaining the behavior of each of these animals, like how Richard Parker was marking his territory, and why the hyena wasn't attacking Pi. So yeah, there's definitely a major connection between ethology, the study of animal behavior, and Life of Pi. With that out of the way, let's get into the question at hand. Now, for this particular project, I'm going to be using dogs as the main example because obviously there are a ton of different pets that us humans can have, each with their own unique psychological behavior and thought process, so we're going to be sticking to dogs for the most part since they're the most popular pet. Throughout history, it's been extremely common for people to anthropomorphize animals or give them the illusion of having human traits. However, dogs do not think like us. Their brains are designed much more differently, although there are multiple similarities. MRI scans were conducted on multiple different dogs by Dr. Gregory Burns and the Bravo Company, revealing these differences and similarities in brain construction between humans and dogs. As you can see here, the dog's brain has things like a cerebellum, which controls motor movement, a brainstem, and much more in common with humans. However, the upper part of the brain is where things start to differ. Here you can see the cortex of each brain. Now, if you focus on the folds, you'll notice that dogs don't have nearly as many folds in their cortex as humans do. The more folds you have in your brain equals more brain power, and yes, since dogs have much smaller cortexes than us humans with next to no folds, they obviously have much less brain power than we do. On top of this, dogs' brains also simply just don't function the same way our brains do. Here's a picture of a human brain versus a dog brain and how they each are constructed, function thoughts, and convert or use protein and energy differently. With all of these differences, it's physically impossible for animals to process, think, and feel emotions like love just as us humans do. When people say that their dog or cat or bird loves them, they are simply anthropomorphizing an animal that physically cannot feel that way due to their brain chemistry. Now, with all of that said, animals may not feel love and affection in the way that we do, but they definitely do feel some sort of unique emotional connection. The reason we don't know how to explain or describe this unique emotional connection, that's because human beings just can't understand it since we've never experienced it for ourselves. Scientists have conducted studies and experiments to learn more about this unique emotional connection, and they learned this. Every animal has a built-in reward system through their caudate nucleus in the brain. When a domesticated dog gets a treat, this part of the brain increases in activity. When they get praised, this part of the brain increases in activity. And the most important part, when they smell a familiar human, you guessed it, this part of the brain increases in activity. This proves that dogs do have some sort of connection to their owners based upon their distinct smell. Pets have the ability to miss us when we're gone, to care about us, and to carry affection for us in their own different way, all through this reward system within their brain. These different emotions aren't only visible through MRI scans though. Our pets do in fact exhibit behaviors of attachment to humans as well. Examples of this are making eye contact with humans, as well as displaying similar brain responses to emotional cues. Studies also show an increase in oxytocin levels in both dogs and their owners during positive interactions, which indicates a mutual bond. So to answer the question, do our dogs really love us back? Well, the answer is, it's complicated. Clearly, pets and humans do not have the same brain chemistry or construction as each other, so it's physically impossible for these animals to feel and think exactly like we do as humans. Our pets don't feel sad, they don't get angry, and they certainly don't love us back just like how humans feel love. Love is an emotion that we've defined in the context of us humans and us humans alone. The emotions that we feel don't just transfer over to all other species of animals. The only reason some people believe that is because of anthropomorphism, where we, in our own minds, give these human traits to different animals. However, even though our pets and other animals don't think just like us, there are some similar traits that they still have. Our pets still have some feeling of missing us, and there's definitely an element of emotional attachment, specifically, as I said, through the reward system in the caudate nucleus part of the brain. So yes, although it's hard to imagine how animals feel because we can never experience it for ourselves, our pets truly do love us, just in their own unique way.